What's up, y'all? Jason Emmis here, author of the best-selling book, The Code of Behavior. So I'm going to give you the detailed version of what happened April 4th, 2021. It was Easter Sunday. So my girlfriend and I, at the time, we were living in Austin, Texas. And that morning, we decided to go work out at a Lifetime Fitness roughly 30 minutes away. The reason we went to a Lifetime that far away was because I have a couple of friends that live in that area and they wanted me to train them. So we drove out there, worked out with them. I actually hit legs. And then they asked me if I wanted to go play basketball. So one of the guys was like a basketball superstar. And the last time we had met up, I beat him in Around the World and he didn't like that too much. So he challenged me to a rematch. So we were supposed to just shoot around. So we go down and there's these three guys on the court and they're shooting. And so they challenge us to a 3-on-3. So at the time, I was 243 pounds. I had been bulking, okay? So again, it was April 4th. I was gonna be bulking until April 15th. And then at that point, I was gonna start my cut for the summer. So I wasn't really like in condition to play basketball because I wasn't doing cardio and I was eating a lot. And I also had low top shoes on and I'm prone to roll in my ankles. So I really didn't want to play, but they needed me for 3-on-3. And I'm usually up for a challenge, right? So we end up playing. So my breathing was a little off during the game, but I felt like it was because I was so heavy and just out of shape. And my girlfriend was watching me play the whole time and she felt like something was off, but that's not where my head was at that time. And so we end up leaving after playing 3 games and we get into the car. But so as we're walking up to the car, I start getting a little bit of a headache. My arm starts going numb and I'm starting to have a little bit of trouble breathing. And I used to bodybuild back in the day and I have a pinched nerve in my neck. So a lot of times throughout the day, if my neck is like a little bit tilted, sometimes like my arm will go numb. So I wasn't really sure what was happening at the time. So we get into the car and the symptoms are getting worse and worse, right? So I end up stopping at a gas station, maybe about 10 minutes into the drive. I end up getting some Advil, ibuprofen. I take it for the headache because it was getting really intense. And then we're driving and man, it's just getting like the pain was just unbearable in my chest, headache worse, arm going numb. And I look at my girlfriend while I'm driving. I'm like, babe, something is not right. And so she didn't even say anything. And then I was like, did you hear me? Like something isn't right. And she's like, does it feel like when you had your first heart attack? And then I was like, no. And so we're driving and probably a few seconds later, I'm like, you know what? Actually, it does. But see, the first time I had the heart attack, it was very mild. It was so mild, I didn't even know that I was having a heart attack. What happened the first time is my heart actually grew from the good side to the bad side to get blood flow there. And that's why it came in and it went, right? And so my heart actually saved me without me even knowing what was going on. They said otherwise I would have gone into heart failure and could have possibly died. But this time the pain wasn't going away. So I was like, babe, I want to go to an ER clinic. I turned to her and I said that. And she said, okay, let's go. Now, if you know anything about Austin, Texas, traffic there is normally insane. But this day, again, was Easter, so there was really nobody on the road. So I pull up a ER clinic on my phone, not a hospital, but a clinic. And there's one 5 minutes away, and we end up, so I get there in probably about 5 minutes. I get there quick. I pull up, I run inside, and they're like, sir, how can we help you? And I said, I'm pretty sure I'm having a heart attack. They had the audacity to ask me for my ID at that time. I'm like, I just told you I had a heart attack. How are you gonna ask me for my ID? Like, get me back into the room. So anyway, I check my pockets. I realized I forgot my wallet in the car. So, and mind you, I'm having a heart attack. So I run back out, I get my wallet, get my ID, give it to them. They did have enough grace though, where they let me fill out paperwork when I was in the room, which was nice of them. And they hooked me up to an EKG, and I'll never forget the look on the doctor's face when he read the results of what the EKG showed him. And he looked at me and he said, sir, I hate to tell you this, but you are suffering a severe heart attack right now. So in my eyes, since I already had a heart attack before, this was, and it was mild, I'm like, doctors always exaggerate stuff. That's kind of like what I was thinking. And I'm like, it's not a big deal. It's another minor heart attack. I'll be out of here in 30 minutes to an hour. Well, that's not how it went. So they lay me down and they're having me take all this different stuff, like chew this, swallow this. I would say every single person in that clinic was in my room at that time, all doing different things. And I'm laying there and I'm communicating with them. I'm just telling them, okay, I'm feeling better now. Okay, the pain's really bad. Okay, I'm having a hard time breathing. Okay, I'm breathing better now. And, I don't know exactly how long, but probably 30 minutes to an hour of being in there, I start to really be having a hard time breathing. And I just remember looking at them and communicating with them like, I feel like I'm about to die. Y'all got to do something. Please help me. And I asked God to help me. I said, God, please help me. And that's when I flatlined on the table at that moment right there. And everybody asked me, like, did you see anything? How was it? And for me, it was like everything went black. It's like I just went to sleep. And so I'll never forget hearing Jason. I kept hearing my name. And in my mind, I'm like, please let me be in heaven, right? And so they end up waking me up. And I'll never forget, like, my body was like this, and I couldn't move my body, but I'm looking over and I hear my name and the doctor's like, welcome back. She just saved your life. And I'm kind of like dumbfounded at this point because, I had just died and I'm like still kind of coming out of whatever happened, right? And so I'm like, you just saved my life. I'm thanking her. And what's crazy, y'all, is I had 100% blockage at my Widowmaker. They call it the Widowmaker because if somebody has a heart attack there, people don't live. They call it the Widowmaker for that reason because it makes widows. The heart attack was over 2 hours long. So they wake me up after a little bit of time. I'm able to move my upper body, but I still can't move my lower body. And then I start like freaking out. They're like, sir, we need you to calm down. I'm like, don't tell me to calm down. And then by the grace of God, my legs start moving. And the paramedics were there ready to go. And they got me on the stretcher and they put me into the ambulance and rushed me to the hospital, to the ER at the hospital. And when I got to the ER, they got me prepped for surgery. They got me to the cath lab, which is where they put the stent in, and then they put me into ICU. And I was actually in ICU for 3 days. I know it's crazy. Died on Easter. On the third day, they transferred me out of ICU. And they put me into a regular room, and I was just waiting on them to come with a machine that tests the heart just to scan and see what happened to the heart because it's very traumatic to the heart, so things can happen. So I'm waiting, and finally somebody comes and they go and they do a scan, they test my heart. And so during the whole time, I'm kind of like freaking out in my head, but then I remember fear versus faith, right? You're either gonna have one or the other. It's either fear or faith. So I decided to go with the faith route. And I just kept telling myself everything was gonna be great, everything was gonna be great. And sure enough, no damage to my heart and pump function normal. And on the third day, I walked out of the hospital as if nothing happened. And again, to go back to the Widowmaker, so it's the LAD artery, which is the left part of the heart, and that part of the heart can't defib itself. And that's why you got to get to a defibrillator. And if you don't, you die. They actually told me that a minute difference and I wouldn't have made it. That part of the heart funnels all the blood flow and oxygen to the body, right? So having a heart attack for over 2 hours, 100% blockage, my entire body was getting no blood flow through it. So a lot of times with that, you end up paralyzed, things aren't working right. For me, no damage, pump function normal. It was literally as if nothing happened. And I'm forever grateful, but I'll tell you this, I don't take it lightly. And now today, I live my life completely different. And that's where I came up with the quote, you don't have to die to decide to live. Because most people in life, they're not living to the top potential that they've got. They're not living to their greatest abilities. Most of us have so much more in this life to give and to accomplish. And after having something like that happen to me, Now I'm so clear that my life has way more purpose to it than I ever imagined. So yeah, I mean, anything else you want to learn from me, I got tons of content. Go pick up a copy of the book. Go get the course. You'll love it. Get on the website, thecodeofbehavior.com, also jasonlnemes.com, and book me for your next event. If you don't have anything to book me for, tell your friends, and let's get it. Thank y'all very much.